So now we just have Vshift and limit. Limit, I'll just say, I think is the most useful, like almost more useful than anything else on this entire thing is limit. Because the volume here is the volume of this signal. So any, limit that you do here is, oopsies, is set up here. Oops, gosh. All right. And so when you, like, if you want something to be quieter, like, and you turn the volume down, then, like, your whole signal just, there's nothing, like, what if you want to keep the same wave shape? And, like, what if I really liked how that clipped or something, or how it wrapped? If I have something like this or whatever, and I really like this sound, which I, ooh, like that's cool, but it's too loud. And this was like the bane of my existence, and I think many other people's in the early versions of LSDj, because you're just stuck with this now. Like, you can't get it to rap if the volume isn't high. So it's nice now because you can set this limit, which is a limiter, which means it limits the dynamic range. So now you're only going to have anything between whatever this is, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A. Well, okay, so it's a little more. But point being, when you set the limit to 8, it's only going to have, I guess, 8 values, or 9. So you can, yes, overwrite my lovely hand drum waves. So you can actually, like, start quiet and get loud, or start loud and get quiet. And, like, of course, changing the dynamics does, like, it does affect the sound slightly. Like, it's not going to be the same sound, but it is pretty cool. And it's nice to have, and it's really nice if you want to, like, fade, down to, like, 3 or 4. And the other nice thing about it is that because each synth is 15 waves long, you can get a nice gradual fade without having to use the E commands, which only give you, 100%, 50%, 25%, or 0. So, like, E3 is all the way 100%. E2 is 50% loud. So that's already, like, you're choosing between 150. Like, there's not even, like, a 75% loud. It's like, for me, the difference between E3 and E2 is, like, it can get to be where E3 is too loud, but E2 is too soft. And then it used to be that you had to, like, bring up all of your other tracks to make them louder. But it's nice now that we can have, like, a smooth gradient. Okay. And then, so that's limit. I love it. I could never live without it.
Too bad you can't use limit in the phase screen, eh?
I wonder if it would be possible to constrain to do real-time limit like that. I'm going to have to bring that up. That's a super cool idea. Yeah. Okay.
Because otherwise you're just making different synths for, at different limit levels.
But yeah, and I mean, but the instruments, let's talk about Vshift.
That just changes your center line, right?
Yeah. And the way that you can almost think of, like, the way that Q is affected by, like, filter and cutoff, Vshift is affected by distortion. So this is also, it works this way. It's worked this way for a long time, but, like, in older versions, Vshift didn't work with distortion. Basically, it always wrapped around, and now you can think of this as almost like another way to limit when you have Vshift with clip. And basically it's literally just a vertical shift. So, like, if you go up by 10, your waveform, oops, I need to go to the right wave, it goes up by 1, because this is basically, it's almost the same as cutoff. Like, going up by 10 goes up by, like, 1 from 0 to F, or, like, 20. So it starts to just lift it off the ground. And then, once you get up here, now you're just squashing it against the ceiling. It's kind of like when you use phase and, like, it lengthens it. This is kind of like, and it gets flatter on the other side, this flattens it against the top. So then once you get up to FF, it's just all silent. So if you start at 0 and then you go up to FF, like your oops, boop 0. Yeah, we need to get back to boop 0. So have you ever found any like useful sounds with Vshift? We were kind of going back and forth in the chat about like whether this is even useful. Somebody told me once, they said like Vshift is just a sound bad button. Like, which made me laugh.
You just force the clip pretty much, right? Hey, well, it could work well with fold or wrap, because you can make it fold or wrap further.
That is what I was about to say. Yeah. So like Vshift with clip, not the most interesting. Just a way to like make it quieter. I guess if you need to limit only the top of the wave, because like you're not only, I mean, yeah, you're clipping it and limiting it. So like that's what's gonna happen. Fold, yeah. It just inverts it. Like it's kind of silly, I guess. Like I don't. Now that sounds cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's almost like a pulse width modulation thing happening. Like so that one is cool. And I'm using like pretty boring the most maybe arguably boring example of just a simple waveform, but like maybe, you know, maybe you can get something more interesting if you do something else, or like I don't know. The more important thing to know is just like what the, you know, what each parameter actually does. I mean, it's not necessarily important. You don't have to know anything really, and you can still just fool